In this video, we'll walk you through how to use head tracking and other tricks to simulate real camera movements inside our very favorite machinima workstation, Star Citizen. Inside what exactly? Never heard of it. But to use our webcam for filming, we need to go to the deep end of the pool, meaning the options menu. We have a lot to go through, so take a deep breath. First, go to Comms, FOIP and Head Tracking. Scroll all the way down to the Calibrate button and make sure your face is visible for your FOIP camera. When you get that working, enable FOIP just above the Calibrate button by switching this setting to yes. Let's go all the way to the top and make sure that our head tracking general source is set to faceware. Further down, you'll see global smoothing position and global smoothing rotation. You can put both of these on 20. The exact right value for your system is mostly dependent on your webcam's model, resolution, frames, stuff like that, so you'll have to experiment. But 20 is a good starting point. Right underneath the global smoothing sliders, you'll find a wider range of settings. The most important ones for now are disable during FPS, no, enable roll, yes, and the most important one, external view toggle enabled. Set that to yes. That's the setting that enables us to use our head movement as a third-person camera movement input. Now let's head over to key bindings. In here, you go to Advanced Controls Customization. Scroll way down and go to VoIP, FOIP and head tracking. You can see here that enable head tracking is set to numpad dash. That's the button that enables your character's head tracking. But if you scroll down a little bit, you can also find enable disable head tracking for third-person camera. That's the button that enables us to toggle head movement for our third-person camera. I put that on left alt and dash. Let's go back to the game, press dash, and we can move our head. Alt and dash, and we can move the camera. Right, left, up, down, and roll. We couldn't roll too much, so it's time to head back into the settings and start looking at how we tweak how the camera behaves. Let's start having a look at Comms, FOIP and head tracking. At the very bottom is where we'll find the tweaking settings. We wanted to experiment a little bit with roll, and we can see here the roll input sensitivity is set much lower than the yaw, or the pitch. So let's increase it a little bit and see, well, we can increase it rather much actually. See what it looks like? Whoa, yeah, this is rather ridiculous. Hold on. Let's put it a little bit back here, a little bit more normal. Try it again, and yeah, this looks good. And while we're on the subject of camera rotation, remember that the head tracking can be used for controlling the third-person ship camera as well. But let's say, for example, that we want a clean dolly movement right into Oliver's face. We want to remove the pitch and yaw, the roll. We also want to remove going left to right, up and down. We only want going forward and back. Then we go back into the options. We disable pitch, yaw, and roll. We could also increase the smoothing speed all the way up. The smoothing speed is essentially the game trying to smooth out your head movement for your camera movement. So if you move your head like this and your smoothing speed is very low, the camera is also going to be moving like this. If your smoothing speed is high, that means the game is going to compensate for your erratic movement and making the camera move smoothly but along the same path as your head. Dropping down to the input scale down here, the input scale is a multiplier for your head's movement along an X or Y axis, also forward and back. The pitch and yaw, they have their own sliders. The rotation is not going to be bothered by the input scale, but the lower your input scale, the less of a motion the camera is going to have from your head's axis movement like this. So let's go down to the dead zones. Now, these are a little bit bugged. I'll get back to that in a second, but essentially, the dead zone, left and right, is how big of a margin your head needs before it actually makes an input for the camera. If you have a small dead zone, like this, even the smallest movement with your head is going to hit either of these margins and affect the input on the camera. If you increase the dead zone, that means that you can move your head a little bit, but not hit any of the margins. so the camera won't be affected by your head movement. This is good to use in this scenario where we don't want the head movement to affect the camera's movement from left to right. Because remember, we only wanted a dolly shot back to forward on Oliver's face, like this. Now the bug that I was mentioning earlier is about these two sliders down here, dead zone up down and dead zone forward back. I'm not really sure what they're affecting. If I take the forward back one up and bring the left right one down, that should mean I wouldn't be able to move the camera forward or backward. But I can. Now let's see if we can add some extra spice to this shot that we have right here. Let's head back into the options, comms, FOIP and head tracking, all the way down, and let's only enable roll as an input and not the other ones. With the addition of some rolling rotation to our shot, we can just add it to our zooming movement and hope that we make the scene a little extra. Feel ridiculous. Oh, don't be afraid to look like a clown, because you'll be doing it for hours. Now let's take a look at some shots I made earlier, and maybe those can act like inspiration for anything that you're working on right now. Here's an example of how head tracking doesn't actually move the point of interest that we talked about in an earlier episode. So you can glide the camera around a locked-on subject, or go really close without losing focus. Do you have some tips of your own? Drop a comment below, or better yet, join us on the HubNet Discord, where machinima creators like you and me are sharing valuable tips and resources, helping each other achieve our visions. In the next video, we'll cover unconventional ways of filming, ways to use the camera that may or may not have been intended. So stay tuned.